Have you ever heard the phrases, it's not about what you know, but who you know? Or your network is your net worth? Right before I graduated film school, I met a person in a workshop who had worked closely with the film director Martin Scorsese. The first thoughts that entered my mind were, I want to direct films, I want to be Martin Scorsese, and this person can probably help me do both. I added her on LinkedIn, I sent her a DM, and I asked her to grab coffee with me so that she could share her knowledge. And it worked. We met for coffee, we had a conversation, and I took notes on everything she shared with me. But she said, I can't connect you with Marty, and I'm not a director. She mentioned that she wasn't really active in the industry anymore, and my enthusiasm for that interaction popped like a balloon. What did I do next? Well, I declined her invitation to go out for drinks. I stopped emailing her, and in effect, I terminated the relationship. And the reason for that is because I didn't see our interaction, our budding connection, as a relationship. I saw it as a means to an end, and she was the bridge from where I was to where I wanted to be. And I intended to walk over her to get there. Now that was almost 6 years ago, and I've learned a lot since then. And in this video, I want to talk to you about how to network and build lifelong connections and do it in a way that feels good and is a win-win for everyone involved. The big problem that I see when it comes to networking is that we often make it about ourselves, me, me, me. The definition of networking, according to dictionary.com, is a supportive system of sharing information and services among individuals and groups having a common interest. Now, the key terms here are supportive, sharing, common interest. But before we dive into how to network, let's talk about a few of the objections that have probably crossed your mind when it comes to networking. These might include things like, I have social anxiety, I don't know what to talk about, and I don't know where to meet people. And here's the thing, anxiety will be present in things that provoke discomfort, but new things are always uncomfortable during the first attempts. When you first learned how to ride a bike, did you have anxiety about falling over? If you can remember back that far, you probably did, but you did it anyway. You kept falling and kept getting up until inevitably the discomfort and the anxiety dissipated and it became effortless. It was like second nature. You were more interested in riding than you were falling. So you fell until you didn't. Social skills work the same way. The reason you don't know what to talk about is because you're too focused on the outcome. If thoughts like, I have to say X to have Y outcome come up in your head, you'll be distracted and you'll neglect a key component of connection, and that's presence. Instead of overwhelming yourself about the outcome, think about the intention. And before we go further on this, we should reframe or redefine the word networking because it's kind of been bogged down by implications and expectations. Instead of networking, let's just say making friends. Because that's really what it is at the end of the day, is making friends. And friends help friends. When you were a little kid, did you really think about what you were going to say and what you were going to do? You just did it. If you liked playing with Legos, you played with them, and other kids that liked Legos did too. You played together, boom, friends. So if you want to learn the building blocks of a successful friend-to-friend interaction, think about the intention or energy you want to bring to the table instead of the outcome. I want to have fun instead of I want this conversation to go well so I can land a job. And that's really tough, especially if you need a job like immediately. But the intention really helps reframe the context of the situation. And thirdly, an objection that often comes up is I don't know where to meet people. And to that I'd ask, what kind of people do you want to meet? You need to be specific with this. As a filmmaker, if I want to meet new directors, I need to find out where directors go to hang out. I need to be aware of the demographic I'm targeting and go where they go. Being in the right place is what begets being in the right place at the right time. Go to the right places long enough and the window of right time will magically appear. If luck is involved at all, then luck is when preparation meets opportunity, and doing this will be a great way of meeting luck halfway. The benefits often outweigh the discomfort of getting good at this, and some of the benefits of networking and making friends are opportunities. These can be jobs, experiences that you wouldn't normally have, going to places both physical and metaphysical, metaphorical, that you hadn't explored before. Relationships, whether it's business relationships, intimate relationships, or finding a person that you really feel aligned and connected with. Increase social skills. Miyamoto Musashi, in his book, The Book of Five Rings, says, if you know the way broadly, you will see it in everything. The skills that you learn through this practice, through this skill set, will extend out to other areas of your life. Overall, better quality of life. This is what this skill set, networking, of making friends can really bring to your life and your connection with that. So how do we do this? Okay, now we're jumping into the nitty-gritty, and here's a 7-step framework that might help you. First, identify what you want. Is it a job, an intimate relationship, a group of like-minded friends? And get super specific. As mentioned earlier, create a list of things that you want, and perhaps more importantly, create a list of things that you don't want. Brainstorm and do research on where your target demographic hangs out. Going back to my earlier example, if I want to work with directors or find one to mentor me, I should go where directors hang out. If I want to date spiritually conscious women, I might join a yoga studio or go on a retreat. For the research aspect of this, you can often find a location or a place to go by looking at a prominent figure in the space you're interested in. So for example, I can look at a yoga teacher on YouTube or on Instagram, see where they go, and find someone that fits that demographic and use them as an example. Success leaves clues. So once you've done that, the third step in this framework is to put yourself in that environment. Put yourself in the correct place. And this is half your battle. Work off your research or ideas of where these people might be. Go there, and through trial and error, you will refine where to hang out, where to be at. And you want to cast a wide net and begin starting conversations, because at the start, it is a numbers game. You won't know exactly who you're looking for until you meet people who you're not looking for, right? So continue to refine and be open to conversations as they arise, wherever they are. Fifth, you want to ask questions and put the other person first. Be genuinely interested. If you're truly, authentically not interested, you can change the subject to find common ground, and if time permits, go deeper with those questions. Begin to mentally note common interests, things that stick out to you, and ask yourself, am I enjoying this conversation? If the answer is yes, most likely they are too. Proceed. If not, give it some time, but don't be afraid to move on. It's not worth forcing relationships or wasting anybody's time. And number 6, well, before I get to number 6, when I worked in an Amazon warehouse during the pandemic, which is a story for another time, there was a guy I worked with who was really good at asking questions. We got talking, and before I knew it, we were friends, and I was looking forward to running into him. And the reason for this is simply every time we talked, he asked me great specific questions. I wasn't used to this. I wasn't used to someone being genuinely interested in the things I was interested in. The interested person becomes interesting. So a litmus test on whether or not it's going well is if they ask you your goals, what you're working on, if they flip the script and want to know more about you. Be brief, be precise when this comes up, and be to the point. Allow them the space to ask any follow-up questions and learn more about you. This is a two-way street. And a note here, if you are trying to sell something, don't pitch. Instead, wait until they ask you what you're involved in, until they flip the script. And I'm not a salesman, but I've noticed if I pitch something, it tends to kill the conversation pretty quickly because it comes off as kind of sleazy. It's like too outcome dependent, and they can feel when you're trying to sell them something. Sixth, ask them for their preferred method of staying in touch. Either in phone contact notes, you can jot down notes about things that come up, anything memorable, post conversation. This can include their goals, challenges, anything interesting that you can use when you follow up, because the last step of this framework is to follow up. You can thank them for the conversation or the value they provided, address one of the notes you took, or send them a resource you think they might find valuable or noteworthy. Creating value for others is about solving their problems. If in a conversation you can identify their problems and then later provide a solution, this will go far in improving your relationship with others. With future interactions, you can and will get better at this, and you'll get to know the person better. You're now friends, and as long as you're transparent and kind in your approach, you can ask for help. But keep in mind, always lead with value and always be kind. When it comes to networking, you want to be patient, be kind, and play the long game. Or, in the words of Tim Ferriss, don't dismiss people, don't be a dick, and don't rush. Play the long game, because it truly is a long game. Life is a long game. And so I've met people in the most unlikely places. Like attracts like. The vibe you put out is the one that you receive. And I've been offered jobs by people I've met at the gym. I mean, I found friends by stopping someone on the street and asking them a great question. I've met women by commenting on something unique I've noticed about them. You never know where you're going to meet the one that expands your horizons, acts as the bridge between where you are and where you want to be, but now you're walking across that bridge together. So I hope you got something out of this conversation, out of this video that I just put out that you're watching. I hope I didn't talk too fast. This is meant to be an introduction, a series of guiding principles that you can apply to multiple areas of your life when it comes to meeting new people and forging lifelong connections. And if you did like this video, please consider subscribing to the channel. I'd really appreciate your support because I'm going to be making more of these bad boys. And if you have any objection to subscribing, leave a comment, shoot me a like, and let me know any thoughts you have on networking below. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.